Hey guys, it's Miss Leibowitz. So this week we're going to continue working on comparing and contrasting. The only difference for this week is that we're going to be working on comparing and contrasting nonfiction texts, meaning we're going to be thinking about real stories and saying how two different stories are the same or how two different ideas inside of a story are the same and different, but we're going to be using nonfiction stories that have real facts, real photographs, and are talking about real life things and aren't necessarily going to be telling us a plot, meaning it's not going to be telling us a beginning, middle, and end. So this week, you're really going to have to focus on what is the main idea of the stories that I'm reading. How is that the same and different? What are the facts in the stories that I'm reading? Are those facts the same and different? And what are the different settings and different focuses of each story or whichever story I'm reading, and how are those things the same or different? So you're going to really have to focus on the different kinds of facts and the different main idea of each story. Remember, the main idea is the big idea, the topic. What is the author trying to tell me? And how is the author trying to tell me? So let's start and do some examples. So think, how are Earth and Mars similar or almost the same? So how are Earth and Mars similar? I'll give you a second to think. Here are some ways they are similar. They are both planets. They both have water present on their surface, and they both have about the same amount of dry land. So those are some ways that they are similar. And when we talk about how two things are the same, we compare them. When we compared Earth and Mars, we talked about what they had in common and how they were similar. So when we compare things, we're talking about how they are the same or how they are similar. How are Earth and Mars different? Mars is a lot further away from the sun than Earth is from the sun. Earth takes about 365 days to orbit the sun, while Mars takes 687 days. And the weather on Mars is much colder than the weather on Earth. Also, other ways that they're different is Mars does not have humans living on it, and Earth does. When we talk about how two things are different, we are contrasting them. When we contrasted Earth and Mars, we talked about their differences or how they are not alike. So we're going to try. Let's compare paper bags and plastic bags that are used for groceries. Remember, to compare is to talk about how they are the same. So when you go to the grocery store, some people will get the paper bags, the brown paper bags, and some people get the plastic bags. How are those the same? We are comparing them. How are they the same? So some ways that they are the same is they both hold groceries. You can reuse both of them, and they are both about the same size, and you can find them at a grocery store. So now let's contrast paper bags and plastic bags that are used for groceries. Remember, to contrast is to talk about how they are different. Let's contrast paper bags and plastic bags. How are they different? Contrast them. Some ways they're different is one is paper and one is plastic. Another way they are different is a paper bag does not have a handle, where a plastic bag does have a handle. They're also different because paper bags come from trees, and plastic bags are made from plastic, which is made from like oil and machines. So Authors sometimes give us hints to show when they are comparing two things. So these are signal words that tell you that they are comparing. So when you see these words in the story, they can help you see that the author is comparing two things. So if you see the word similar, to, alike, both, the same, also, and just like. If you see these words, it is telling you that the author is comparing. The author is saying how things are the same. These are signal words, just like when we do our math action words that tell us if we need to add or subtract. If you see these words, the author is comparing and telling you how they are the same, similar, to, alike, both, the same, also, just like. When an author is saying these signal words, they are telling you that they are going to give you a fact about how they are the same. And authors also give us hints for when they are contrasting two things, when things are different. When you see these signal words in a story, they can help you see that the author is contrasting things, that they're trying to tell you how things are different. So if you see the signal words different, but, unlike, while, although, or however, if you see any of these signal words, the author is about to give you a way that something is different, how two things are different, how they are contrasting two things. These are the special signal words that say, hey, I'm about to tell you how something is different. For example, do you enjoy playing sports? I play both football and soccer. In football, you throw and catch the ball with your hands. However, in soccer, you can't use your hands at all. In both sports, you do a lot of running. Just like in football, you wear cleats in soccer. When you score in football, it's called a touchdown. But in soccer, it's called a goal. How can we compare football and soccer? And how can we contrast the two sports? I hope you are looking for some of those signal words. Let's see. Let's look back at the hints that the author is comparing. What hints do you find to show comparing? Do you enjoy playing sports? I play both football and soccer. In football, you throw and catch the ball with your hands. However, in soccer, you can't just use your hands at all. In both sports, you do a lot of running. Just like in football, you wear cleats in soccer. When you score in football, it's called a touchdown, but in soccer, it's called a goal. So you can see that some of the comparing words are similar to, alike, both, the same, also, or just like. So we definitely heard some both. You can see I play both football and soccer. They are saying they are the same because they play both, right? In both sports, you do a lot of running. So they're saying in soccer and in football, you run in both. And just like in football, if it says just like, that's saying just like football, you also do this in soccer. Just like is telling you, just like in football, you wear cleats in soccer. So you wear cleats in soccer just like you do in football. So those words are telling us that they are the same. You are comparing. Let's look back for things that are contrasting. How are things different? Do you enjoy playing sports? I play football and soccer. In football, you throw and catch the ball with your hands. However, in soccer, you can't use your hands at all. In both sports, you do a lot of running. Just like in football, in soccer, you wear cleats. When you score in football, it's called a touchdown, but in soccer, it's called a goal. So you can see contrasting words that tell us how they are different, but, however, unlike, while, and although. And we saw, however, in soccer, you can't use your hands at all. They were just saying in football, you throw and catch the ball with your hands. However, soccer, you can't use your hands. So, however, is telling us how soccer is different from football. In football, you use your hands to catch the ball. However, not in soccer, you can't use your hands, right? So, there's also when you score in football, it's called a touchdown, but in soccer, it's called a goal. These signal words are literally like showing you an arrow. Here, I'm about to tell you how they're different. So in football, when you score, it's a touchdown, but when you score in soccer, it's called a goal. So those words are telling you that they are giving you contrasting information, how topics or ideas are different. So whenever you see different, but, however, unlike, while, or although, it will be telling you how something is different. It's literally like the author saying, hey, I'm about to say how it's different. However, it's like when your mom says, you did a good job. However, you missed all of the living room when you swept, right? They're saying you did a good job, but they're saying you could have done better, and this is how it's a little bit different. I liked that grilled cheese, but this one was a little creamier. We can also compare and contrast when reading two different texts on the same topic. This is what we're going to be focusing on probably on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You're going to get a story that has the same topic, and you have to talk about how they are different and the same. So, for example, if I have a topic about giraffes, and I have another story about giraffes, you have to tell me how are those two stories the same and how are those two stories different. Remember, a topic is basically just what the whole story is about, not necessarily the main idea, but if there's a story and they're both about giraffes, then the topic would be about giraffes. And you would have to tell me how are those two stories about giraffes the same and different. Here are some of the things you can compare and contrast when reading two different stories. So not within the same story, when reading two different stories. You can say how the main ideas are the same or how they're different, how the events, what happens in the story, how those are the same or different, what the key details are, how those are the same or different in two different stories. You can talk about what the problems are in two different stories and tell me if they're the same or different. And you can tell me what the solutions are in two different stories and tell me how they are the same or different. So let's read these two texts, leopard sharks and hammerhead sharks. So let's start. Leopard sharks. Our world's oceans have a variety of sharks, but have you heard of the leopard shark? The leopard shark is pretty small in size, between 3 to 4 feet. Leopard sharks are bottom feeders, which means that they feed on things that are on the bottom of the ocean. They enjoy eating rays, crabs, and shrimp, among other things. They get their name because of the dark oval spotted pattern on their skin. So this story, we already know what the topic is because the topic is almost always the heading or the title. So the topic of this one is leopard sharks. Now we're going to read a passage, a text about hammerhead sharks, and then we're going to compare and contrast the two. So hammerhead sharks. Hammerhead sharks have some odd-shaped heads, don't they? Their heads help them pin their food to the ground when hunting. Hammerheads hunt for food at the bottom of the ocean. Their diet includes shrimp, crabs, octopus, and stingrays. These sharks are large, getting up to 20 feet in size. Hammerheads have grayish brown backs with white underbellies. So we know the topic of this one is hammerhead sharks, and we already know that both stories are about sharks. So we're going to have to compare and contrast how are they the same, how are they different. Let's compare these two texts. So how are these texts similar? Let's take a look at the main idea and the key details. What is the main idea and what are the key details of each text? So Leopard sharks are bottom feeders, which means they feed on things that are at the bottom of the ocean. They enjoy eating rays, crabs, and shrimps, among other things. So this is a key detail. If my main idea is leopard sharks, my key detail is that some key details are that they're bottom feeders, and what they eat. Over here we have our hammerheads. It says that they hunt for food at the bottom of the ocean, and their diet includes shrimp, crabs, octopus, and stingrays. So these are how they are the same. Both the leopard sharks are bottom feeders and the hammerhead sharks are bottom feeders. Also, what they eat as bottom feeders are the same. So they both eat shrimp, they both eat crabs, they both eat rays, stingrays. So these key details in the story are the same, right? The main idea is sharks. Both of these key details are the same. This is how we would compare these two stories. Both of these key details tell us that they eat the same way. They are both bottom feeders and they both eat the same. How are they different? Let's look at the main idea and the key details. Let's see how they are different. So the leopard shark is pretty small in size, between 3 to 4 feet. And they get their name because of the dark oval spotted pattern on their skin. So this is telling us what a leopard shark looks like. Let's see how that is different from what a hammerhead shark looks like. It says these sharks are large, getting up to 20 feet in size. The leopard shark only gets up to 3 to 4 feet, while the hammerhead can get up to 20 feet. So that is one way that we are contrasting, one way that these stories are different. They're different in size. And it says that hammerheads have grayish brown backs with white underbellies. So the way that it looks, the color of its bodies are different. It says the leopard shark gets its name because it has dark spots on its skin, kind of like a leopard. And a hammerhead is gray with a brown on its back and it has a white belly. So those are details about how they are different. So when comparing and contrasting two texts, a good strategy to use is to organize your similarities and differences in a chart. So you can do it like this, or you can use a Venn diagram or a double bubble. So leopards, sharks, and hammerhead sharks. Let's see, they both eat rays, crab, and shrimp, and they're both bottom feeders. We could also put in here that they are both sharks, right? Let's see how they're different. So this is how a leopard shark is unique in comparison to a hammerhead shark. So they are 3 to 4 feet in size, where a hammerhead is up to 20 feet in size, and the color dark oval spotted pattern on their skin, and the hammerhead has a grayish brown back with white bellies. So this is basically the same as a Venn diagram. How are the two texts the same? How are they different? How are the facts and the topics the same? And how are the key details the same? So when you are reading your stories this week, you need to think, how are the facts, how are the key details in this story the same, and how are they different? Especially when you get into reading two stories that have the same topic. So if I give you a story about a leopard shark and I give you a story about a hammerhead shark, they are both have the same topic, which is sharks. But you have to tell me, how are those stories the same and how are those texts different? Make sure that you are watching all the videos before you start your assignment, and make sure that you're also writing your answers in complete sentences. Remember, compare how they're the same, contrast how they're different.